I'm almost there. Yeah, I'm almost there. Thank you now. Thank you.
Ken, do you hear any sound from the meeting? Ken, I don't hear any sound from the meeting.
Okay. I don't either. Let's see. How do I don't either.
With most atmospheric most atmospheric gases, there's not a lot of absorption within the larger wavelengths of what we see in radio wave frequencies, except for primarily water vapor. This graph doesn't go all the way to the scale of radio waves, However, we can see that water vapor is still absorbing at some of these larger wavelengths and can still do so at some of the ones on the radio wave. And again, this is something that impacts more the higher frequency radio waves, but that is something that can also be experienced with larger precipitation, is more absorption. And the third thing that comes up is the refractivity. So the refraction is basically a redirection of refraction or reflection is a redirection of electromagnetic waves. We typically see this in the atmosphere as it has a refractivity that is related to pressure, moisture content, as well as temperature. This is primarily, this is primarily refraction along the curvature of the Earth's. So, this is, for example, the normal refraction we'll see. This keeps sort of radio waves not necessarily directly bound outward in space, but in a direction along the Earth's curvature, as well as can potentially reflected back whenever we go into the ionosphere. One of the more interesting aspects that occurs and where temperature plays a larger role is the comes with the formation atmospheric dust. Basically, where this occurs when the refractivity starts to decrease with heights. So if we go back to the equation we had earlier, note with this last term that has altitude. As altitude continues to go up, we're expecting the refractivity index to be going up as well. But there are circumstances where the refractivity starts to decrease with heights. This in essence causes the radio waves to be refracted back down towards the surface. And when it comes in contact with the surface, it can be reflected by various surface features back upwards. So you can, in essence, get radio waves that are trapped in the surface by these atmospheric ducts as they, and which becomes useful for long wave propagation. This becomes more common at the coast where you have a lot of the changes in moisture content necessary to form these ducts. But if we look at our equation, for example, we can find this is something that can happen with temperature inversions. So in the troposphere, temperature will typically decrease with height. However, whenever you have an inversion in place, the opposite happens. So as temperature increases with height, we see the refractivity index will start to decrease with height in response to that. So that is one of the ways you can form ducts. You have a question?
Oh, the equation is not dependent on density.
The atmosphere. So density can come up. The catch is that density of the atmosphere is related to moisture, temperature, and pressure, all three of those. So if you're familiar, for example, with gases, we have the ideal gas law, which relates density to all three of those things. So indirectly, density is there. We could say use the ideal gas law to plug density in for any one of those three variables.
Okay.
So, but density is typically a lot harder to measure in the atmosphere. It is much easier to measure pressure, temperature. Moisture is harder to measure. It's one of the reasons why we often use relative humidity, because that is something we can measure with much greater ease than actual moisture contents.
And that's within a little margin there.
Relative humidity, yes. And the theoretical equations we have to relate relative humidity to moisture, if we have the temperature, tend to be pretty good as well. Yes. Thank you for that. This is actually one of the, at least in terms of physical explanations, one of the primary impacts I saw of temperature on radio wave propagation is in the formation of these ducts, which keeps radio wave trapped, and it's useful for long range propagation, and can have other things that's involved in that as well. So, and like in general, and I forgot to mention, this is going to be a bit of a shorter talk just because of all the discussions I found on radio wave propagation within the troposphere. There's not a lot in terms of physical explanations within the atmosphere. But in general, like what are the overall impacts of temperature on signal strength? The answer is it kind of depends. There's a number of studies that show with higher temperature, you can get a clearer signal. Some cases that showed a negative correlation. It can be, in general, we expect clearer signals with higher temperature, but this is also because the atmosphere is very heavily coupled in multiple ways. So when you have higher temperatures, for example, especially up in 90s and 100-degree temperatures, this is mostly because there's clear skies and no moisture in sight. So is that clear signal because higher temperatures, or clear signal because of lower moisture? Or is there other things because of the stability, or because in that condition the atmosphere is fairly stable, so you have more favorable conditions, for example, with atmospheric ducts or other things going on? It is harder to say, and there hasn't been a whole lot that I've seen to really isolate the impacts of one of these variables versus the other. In terms of humidity or the moisture content, that's a little bit clearer. There's a lot stronger consensus on the idea that humidity decreases signal strength. And this is done via propagation, absorption, scattering, refraction, but most predominantly scattering and absorption. These are the two biggest things that water can end up doing with radio waves. It is more pronounced with the higher frequency radio waves. So when your wavelengths are more comparable to the rain droplets and cloud droplets. And in general, which one plays a larger role in signal strength? Again, this is contested. I've seen some studies that like to say there's a stronger correlation with temperature, and some that say there's a stronger correlation with humidity. But in general, I am more geared towards the idea of it being humidity, just because I can see the physical connections between that and radio wave propagation much clearer, and how it impacts the movement of electromagnetic waves in general, as compared to temperature. But in terms of that, I think that is everything. Like I said, I did not find as much as I originally thought I would in terms of atmospheric propagation. But see, yeah.
When you're talking about high humidity, when you go to the extreme of having rain, you would expect it to get even more absorption slash reflection slash reflection.
Yeah.
Even at rain characteristics. The reason I say that is that at the Memorial Marathon last week, 2 weeks ago, the Saturday Drowned Rat crew was reporting a whole bunch of problems with the UHF transmission, and our concern was, okay, this is bad radio, bad system, bad atmosphere, and had not considered the role of humidity or rain in that. And UHF's 450 megahertz, which is the higher end of that, which you said was the worst at higher rate. Is that something you would expect?
Yeah, I would say that is something I would definitely expect, especially one thing you can do with radar, and I actually forgot to put this on here, but one of the new things we do have with, for example, Doppler radar, or sorry, dual pole radar, is there's one of the things they have on there is differential reflectivity, which is useful for actually gauging the size of the rain droplets, which can be helpful for potentially diagnosing.
So we were gauging the rain when we couldn't communicate as well. Got it.
But
When you're looking at the absorption, can part of that be overcome with additional power?
that one I'm not entirely sure on. I'm not entirely sure, for example, the connection between the power and the energy within the electromagnetic, the radio wave, because the general absorption is going to be, especially when we're talking about specifically water, is going to be dependent on how much energy is in the electromagnetic wave. With water, I believe it's due to how water molecules are structured. They can their electrons are generally freer to absorb a lot more energy, or energy a lot wider ranges. I'm not entirely certain. It is possible you could say If increasing the power just punts more electromagnetic waves through it, you may just get more, signal on the aspect of putting out more, radio waves. But in general, I would expect it still absorbing this same percentage, unless you're changing the wavelength of the radio wave.
So is the absorption coefficient linear or is it nonlinear?
Non-linear. This is very, it is very strongly dependent on the molecule in question. And like I said, typically,
But for a given molecule.
Yeah.
Is that absorption coefficient linear for that molecule?
no, this has to do more with more quantum mechanical features of the molecule, which tends to be more discrete in nature. The fact that, it is not nearly as discrete with water vapor, it makes water a bit of an outlier. But what you typically see are very discrete bands like you see with ozone, carbon dioxide, methane, etc. Like I said, water is a bit more of an outlier, but it's a very unique structure in multiple ways.
So we need to start breathing carbon dioxide. is what you're saying.
Uh,
Nice linear, it'd be nice, no absorption, we're good.
well, the problem is the atmosphere is still 21% oxygen.
Well, we have to fix that.
Please don't.
You say please don't, but the secondary issue with that is plants are also breathing in CO2 and replacing that with oxygen, so we'd have to get rid of all the vegetation as well.
Okay, we're working on that.
Question.
So I kind of have a two-part question. Ionosphere is a plasma, right?
And large part plasma is, yeah, located very high up.
So that means it's modeled differently. This doesn't apply because it's all associated.
It would, yes, it would be modeled fairly differently on various scales. So on Parliament, because it's going to have a lot of an electric charge associated with it. The atmosphere in a general state is roughly neutral, exceptions being during a thunderstorm where you have layers of positive and negative charges. But the atmosphere will have a definitive charge. The state of the molecules will be different, and generally the plasma states, you're going to have a lot of free electrons and protons running around. So the molecular structure is going to be different. Those quantum mechanical properties will be different. So you'd be absorbing and refracting things at different bands as well. So.
Any other questions for him?
All right, let's take, let's all get back in here. Let's see, 5 after, between 5 and 10 after, and get started again. For you, more of that.
5 ATG.
Ethan, K5 ITR.
David, K0 BFE.
Lance, K9 LES.
Mike, KJ5 CHD.
Another Mike, KB5HXT.
Brent, AE5WX.
Ron, KB3 BCU.
Bob, KF5 NQD.
Lee, Whiskey 5, Hotel Lake McGough.
Yvonne, KG5GW.
Galen, WX5 MOR.
Dot, KJ5KRD.
Let's see them.
And Dot has a new general license as of what, 2 weeks ago? Last Thursday, congratulations. We got Davey.
K5 DTD. Denny, WA6DKD.
All right, and then online, we've got Stephen, KE5BYB. Carl, KG5 SSW, and Ken, KA5HFE. All right, thank you, everybody. All right, let's move over to our secretary minutes. Yes.
All right, last month we had 2,500 members in person and 7 online of 10. Minutes were read, the treasurer's report was read. $118.10 net income last month. 3,432 in checking, 24,164 in savings, 388.50 in petty cash. VE report, two new technicians. Core ARRL, they had the meeting, the Monday following last meeting, they had the meeting for Memorial Marathon. Green Country Hamfest was a weekend before last meeting. And they, Mark said that there was a booth set up discussing the new M17 protocol that are trying to replace a lot of the proprietary protocols each manufacturer has with digital modes with their systems, the HV wires, ICOM proprietary systems and whatnot. And the ARRL is pushing the FCC to remove a lot of the old regulations, also trying to get tech license holders access to digital frequency on HF, as well as still working on the homeowner association build. The tech committee said there's no issues with the repeater, but it is emergency season, so we may have some interference with prior from time to time. So older new business, we had a program by Alan Zahari, who gave a really good presentation over weather radar. And one announcement, May 10th was going to be the Stars Picnic, which I believe is canceled now. Denny lost some antennas due to storm damage and needs some help getting those back on the air. The all hand dinner is going to be at Pickle Steakhouse in June. Field day's coming up in June.
May.
Oh, May, okay. And we said June last time. Okay. And then Mark, Blake let him open silence for all the silent keys that we lost last month. And with that, the meeting ended at 11:10 a.m.
Thank you, and the all ham dinner is May 22nd at 6 p.m. at Pickle Steakhouse on South Meridian, if anybody's curious. So there's no confusion since Mark lied last month, so. All right, Larry, secretary report. Treasurer report.
Okay. Last month we had net income of $262, which bring us to $1,900.44 in the checking account, 26,164 in savings, 153.72 in petty cash, and we did move some money from the checking account to the savings account.
All right, thank you, Larry. And Mark, can you cover for Ed?
I can,
Also-
I can't, hold on, let me get the.
So Mark's gonna cover the VE report, the technical committee report, Cora and ARRL.
I'm Ed Hatch now. The volunteer examiners we do every month. First Thursday of the month, we test fine folks. A couple of them are in the room. And that is going well. People on the screen. One of them is Doc Terrell. Who's that? Ah. Upgraded to general. Congratulations. We all have to salute her now. That's great. Had a couple other folks from Ada. What was the other one from Ada and it's like eastern part of the state, and they were just so happy, very, very happy to come up. Muskogee, that's right. Joe was from Muskogee, and Glenn was down from the Ada range, so we had a bunch of good ones. June 5th is the next scheduled monthly one. June 28th is field day. For those of you who don't know what field day is, that's where we come out here and sit around in the blistering heat or frigid rain, one of the two. Not sure what it is. But we will set up multiple stations, and we'll talk more about that later on in the program. But we will be doing a 2 o'clock field day test. So if you wish to be field day festival, come on out, sign up. It's on the w5nor.org/license page. We do have books. We've been out of stock for a long time. Mark's got one here probably in the show. That'll help you get your technician general or extra piece. $5 will get you all 3 of them. That's all going well. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer examiner, Ed would always appreciate more folks. We like to keep them to extras so that you can test everybody, but get your extra license and come work with Ed Hatch on that one. That'd be great. Technical side, technical piece is everything's going well. Haven't heard any dog reports. Have we had any dog reports? No dog reports. So no dog reports. Everything seems to be fine. I learned a lot. I told Stuart when he showed up, I said, I'm gonna expect to learn one thing and today I'll learn another. I didn't realize the relative humidity gave that much of a hassle to UHF higher band stuff. And so if we're on a rainy day, Mike said, oh yeah, he said the VHF is on foggy days. I have troubles getting in on this. So that's backed up on the technical side. So watch the weather before you worry about the repeater. It should be in great shape. Third thing is a Cora and Central Oklahoma repeater radio amateurs. We perform the Hamfests for Oklahoma City and for Ardmore America. Oklahoma City one is at the end of July, 4th weekend in July. The one in Ardmore is the 2nd week. There's some big football game that weekend. Well, I don't know, but it's some OU plays. Red River Rivalry, that's what it is. So it's the same weekend as that. We're gonna try to have communication so you can watch the scores leads change on that at the event. So that's in October. Another Hamfest is done by the Enid folks, will be in September. Hamfest is a good place to buy stuff, sell stuff, learn stuff, meet people, and find folks to get something done if you have a problem or question or concern. They're all up and running. We did do the marathon this last couple of weeks. Raise your hand if you're involved in the marathon this year. Whoa, get all those guys. This year we had a good response. Everybody was there. Let me follow you around, please, real quick. I will pass around an antenna that Ken Sanborn on the wonderful Zoom call right now. He's not here in person. But this is an antenna that we built. Each medical tent there has a 15-foot pole that provides the flag notification. So if it's white, that means keep running. And if it's, it's like the weather story. If the flag falls off, that means race is over. Get out of here. But we've had this 15-foot flag, 15-foot pole. And I think we've changed the flags twice in 25 years is what they said. So came up with the idea to put one of these on there, this little hole where Chris has his finger in right now, sits on top of that mast, and it worked out wonderful for us. So it gave us all a better signal at all our locations. It's, in case you're wanting to do it, it's a 3D printed device that Yep, there's a whole 3D printed device that Ken came up with, Ken and, Bob, I think I saw him. Okay, there he is. Ken and Bob printed a bunch of those out. We, put them together here one night with, TIG wire. That's, 19 inches of, TIG welding wire that go into the little connector there. And, I think I paid, that was about $100 worth of connectors. You look at the end, we used RG6 because Mark has 4,000 feet of that stuff laying around. And we put an F connector on for like a cable TV. And I bought about $100 worth of connectors on it. Totally, we got 20 antennas for about $200. So pretty effective piece. The other one we used were, and I'll leave it up here just to come look at it. This is something we made a long time ago for Bike MS. And this is a 5/8 wave antenna on the inside, right, Lee? Yeah. 5/8 wave antenna in there, Ed Fong-esque. So it works on VHF and UHF and a little, couple of those suction cups from Harbor Freight. And a chunk of coax on the back end. And took a 50-foot chunk of coax, cut it in the middle, and that's what we suctioned on the side of some of the vehicles. They used had aluminum hoods and nothing would stick to them. So we've used those in the past for other events, but those are a couple of cool things we brought to the table for the marathon. Next year, we're gonna do a bunch more training. So if you want to get involved, jump on the Facebook Oklahoma City site, our site, W5NOR/marathon has that Facebook piece listed. Our goal is about a month before the event to do a net control training to get your nomenclature up to speed, to make sure we're all using the same thing. Everybody at the AAR after action report thought that would be a great idea. And then we're also going to produce a couple of videos that will show you how to set up that medical tent. So we're gonna have the pile of goodies on the floor, and the guy, the logistician for the marathon, will go through setting the entire station up and then tearing it down for pickup for the folks. So we hope to add training to the piece next year, but a lot of fun, with a lot more, we got more, if everybody that was there brought one more person, we'd be in great shape. Continue on with that. Anything else? You're gonna do all ham dinner separately or? Okay, all ham dinner, May 22nd is gonna be up at Pickles Restaurant, not South Meridian is Pickles Steakhouse, not the other 3 Pickles that you can be confused at. Mark got him a date there last time, so it worked out really well. But it's gonna be six to close. Basically, we're the only group there. Last time we had about 70 or 75 folks. It's a good place to meet some of the Oklahoma City hams if you want to just come up there and have some Pickles Steakhouse and meet and greet. That it? Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Well, we have to know, is that a lasting relationship?
Okay, and we got. Yeah, something else.
Just learned that you don't show up early for that all ham dinner at that location.
$20 worth.
Yeah, you might get.
Head on.
Yeah, that would be
A day, you might get a day.
yeah.
So the executive committee is also, we're putting our heads together. We're trying to put more projects together for Elmer's night, like possibly antenna builds or QRP rigs and building those. Just stuff that we think a lot of them, especially the newer hams, might be interested in. I know Mark, KB5HXT, is going to do a presentation in November for antennas, especially. Did I say Mark?
Yeah.
Mike.
Too many Marks.
Yeah, Mark, HXT. So, he's gonna do a presentation on the simple antenna build too. So we've got a lot of nets. We're gonna start with Margaret, since usually Margaret doesn't get to do her net because it's raining. So it's probably gonna rain today someday, but she's gonna cover the siren net today.
Hi, it's Margaret, KJ5FQ8, and in Wayne Dunlap and myself run the tornado siren net on Saturdays. And it is my turn today, so unusually the sun is shining.
Thank you. All right, and Davey, the 6 meter and 10 meter net, please.
Okay, we've got the 6 meter net. It's on Monday night, 8 o'clock, 50.200 upper side band. Of course, we can't, get into that at the moment. But, it's every Monday night at 8 o'clock. 10 meter net, which is Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 28.445 upper side band. Of course, we can't get into that either at the moment. But, that's those guys. What else?
All right, and Denny, if you wouldn't mind covering, the MacNet and the Gossip Net, please.
All righty, well, the MacNet, every morning, Monday through Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning on the SCARS UHF or VHF repeater. And it's a rag chew and chip kit net. And we have somewhere between 25 and 35 people on there in the mornings. All of them saying hello and good morning. And then on the Tuesday night is the Gossip Net, and it follows the Aries Net on the VHF repeater again. And it's another rag chew and chit chat net. And they're running about 15 to 20 people checking in on that one. So anyhow, come join us. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Denny. On Monday nights at 8:15 p.m. is the Aries DMR net. That is on Talk Route 3140. And that is every Monday night. It's pretty fun. We've had people checking in from all over the country on that one. And then on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on the VHF machine, usually we will switch it up occasionally. We have the Aries net, which is a great net to check your equipment, antennas, make sure everything's working properly. And Rob, will you cover the McLean County net process?
Yeah. All right, so on Wednesday evenings at 8 o'clock, the McLean County Aries has their net. Unfortunately, it does conflict with 6 and the 10-year net. But on David's Gates repeater at 442.400 megahertz, with a 141.3 tone. Now, most of the time that is analog. So if you can hit that repeater, please join us. On the 4th Wednesday of every month, we do that net digitally. It's in System Fusion. It's a Yaesu repeater. So if you only get in there, it's also connected to a wires F reflector 57618 called the Tri-City Room or US Tri-City Room, I think, something like that. And then also a wires X node at 81281. So if you have a hotspot and you want to join us on that 4th Wednesday, you can't normally hit it with RF. Please do so. We'd love to have you. Also on Wednesday mornings, those of us that are able to, our schedules allow us, we do kind of have an informal gathering at the Jimmy's Egg. They're in Newcastle, so we're usually there for about an hour. So if you're in the area and you have time, please join us.
And by the way, we could always use more net control operators. We've been able to recruit a few, but we can always use more on all these, especially the 6 and 10 meter nets.
Thursday nights on the KD5 UGO net is on the 440 machine at 8 p.m.
Yeah, and that's a good net. It's a lot of fun. We usually do a couple of rounds on that one. And so you kind of check in, you either go for count only, or the second round, you can kind of tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life. And so we had, I think 12 or 15 last week.
Yeah,
anyway, it's growing. So if y'all
13 last week.
Yeah, if y'all can join us on that KD5 UGO net. Okay, in 2 weeks, if anybody is available, we hope to have as many as we can. May 24th at 11 a.m. we're going to have an antenna party, if you want to call it that, at Denny's place. As you can see, his tower fell over. It'd be great if we had some younger people, Ethan, that can maybe crawl up in the tree if his dad's okay with that. And we're gonna try to, yeah, baby.
I might be able to get my brother to climb up there.
Okay.
Is he available?
But what we're gonna try to do, I think what we're gonna try to do is try to get up into the trees Try to disassemble as many of the antennas as we can, lower those down and try to pull that rest of the tower out, hopefully not on top of this house. You know, if need be, we're gonna cut branches or maybe even cut the tree if we need to, but, if anybody, seriously, we can use as many people as we can on that. Again, that's 11, on May the 24th, 11 a.m.
It'll be in the newsletter on the webpage.
I'm sorry?
It'll be in the newsletter and on the webpage.
Okay, yes, it'll be on the newsletter, on the webpage, and I'm gonna put it also on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, if you don't mind, just kind of go in and say, hey, I can be there. Put as many bodies, chainsaws, tools, wire cutters, strippers, all of the above would be welcome, so.
Children, they're easier to hoist up.
Children, yeah, that's a good one. You got one right here in front. All right, does anybody else have any questions, comments, anything else? Oh, Mark has something, I forgot, here we go.
First thing I want to say is that, Tuesday nights are a real good night to come and just say hi to somebody that you talked on the radio and never put a face to it. Just come by for a few minutes. You don't have to stay for hours. Come by and shake hands, visit for a few minutes. Let us know that you're out there, that we've heard you on the radio, but we never did see you. It's a good Elmer night. It starts 6:30. We usually have a couple of us here a little earlier if you want to come by after work and just say hi and then leave. But we usually have a good crowd. This last Tuesday now we had a good crowd. Another thing too is keep in mind, field day is coming up in June. And we really want to do more this year on field day. We want to have more people participating in the different setups that we have. We always have a digital, an SSB, and a CW setup. More suggestions as far as ideas are always welcome. We want more people to show up for the night, not just come between 8 and 6 and during the day. We need people that can stay overnight, they can work it overnight, because we're losing a lot of contacts that we could be making out there by not having enough people here. Here's your chance. If you're an SSB person all the time, you want to just kind of see what digital is like without having to set it up at the house, you can come here and try it. CW, you want to learn more about CW, here's your shot. Come and play with it a little bit, they'll let you play with it. We've had 2 or 3 come and try the digital and say, hey, that was a lot of fun. I never did it before, I don't have a setup. Here's your chance. So we try to have a family atmosphere. We have a lot of folks come by and visit. We do have on Saturday, we do a lunch here in the room. We have a dinner here on Saturday evening. We have a good breakfast on Sunday morning. We got a wonderful chef for Sunday morning that usually does a great breakfast. Hey, like I said, it's a family atmosphere. We have a lot of fun. Come bring some friends. If you have somebody that was interested in administrative, that's a good location to bring them and let them see it. Let them see it working. Let them see what we do behind the scenes. All right.
Hi, I'm Mr. Gallagher.
So let us know. Let us know. Let me know. Let Mike know. Let Mark know. If you want to participate in it, what parts you want to do on that, let us know. We'll put your name down. Appreciate it. Oh, one other quick thing. I do this every month because every month I hear all over the state of Oklahoma, that's part of my job. As public relations for the whole Western Division, of hams that we're losing. Hopefully we're gaining a whole lot more, but we lose them every month in this state alone, not to mention across the country. So I'd like to take a moment and remember all of the hams that's gone silent key. And let's do that if we will. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to add to the Elmer's night. it's a lot of fun, whether you have a project or not. I can't tell you, the friendships I've made just coming up and hanging out and meeting these people. It's really good. And if Margaret's here, she usually, not always, but usually brings fabulous cookies. But on the same token, I'm kind of throwing Mike under the bus over here. He brought cookies one night when Margaret wasn't here, and they were pretty good, so maybe he could bring cookies. I kind of like cookies. He can bring cookies too. So,
Yeah, we know.
So, and over on field day also, I think, the month or the meeting prior to field day, we'll actually have, I think we're gonna do like a sign up sheet for overnight to run different stations. And if you're a technician, come on out, because if you have a general or an extra licensed operator there next to you, you can operate on the HF frequencies as well. So it's a lot of fun. You get to operate equipment maybe that you don't normally do. I know, I think it was last year, Gail had never done FT8. She got on FT8 and we couldn't get her off of it. She was on there for hours. So it's a lot of fun. So
She loved it.
yeah. So any other questions, comments, or anything? Ethan, you're talking, you got anything? All right, I think we're done. Oh, yeah, Brent, go ahead.
All right, so Mark Klein, on the website, you have the whole tutorial for CW. There's, I think there's learn Morse code too, so for field day. So have a little a month.
Yeah, it's,
To that. So maybe, I don't know how good you have to be, but.
Mark, do you want to comment on that?
I would be happy to. We have w5nor.org/Morse, MORSE. That, what that will do is you sign up, put your email in there, and it will send you every day a Morse code, or every 2 days, whatever you select, a Morse code link that you can pull up on your webpage, or you can just click on one of these down here. And it will give you the lessons. It starts by doing a K and an M, an R and an S. Yes, it's at 20 words a minute. However, this is based on what the military does, and they say this is the best way to learn it. So, or did, I guess they don't train that anymore. But this is a 20 lesson piece. There's 20 after that that do conversations and testing, practicing stuff. It's a great way to go learn how to do it. And that's a good point. Start now, you will get it. More capability by June. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be good. You just have to be as good as the other guy is. I don't think it matters. Yes, sir.
Key to do that, or you keyboard?
This is just listening only. This will just listen only. You don't have to send out of this. Typically, what happens, just as a side part, typically when you're doing these contests, they have keyers. Kim Elmore was here, and he just had to leave for other stuff, but he said he would coordinate that activity. And they have a device called a keyer. I've got a couple called a Morty. Where's Rick? Is that right? Morty. And the idea is that little device will hook up to your logging software, and you literally just tap a key and it will send for you. So you tap a key and you put the call sign in, and it does all the sending for you. So sending isn't as critical. You can learn that pretty quick. It's hearing is always the tough part. But yeah, that's a good point, Brent. If you want to go do that, chase it down at late night. You can do whatever you want. But obviously, we don't have that many CW operators. We've got good ones, and they will be happy to help you learn and give you pointers as you operate on that day. So yeah, that's a good way to do it. Now's a good time to start. I'll put that in the newsletter. Thanks.
So quick story, when I was first learning CW, I don't do it anymore, but I had a straight key, and this was probably 20 some odd years ago. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna make my first CW contact. I was by myself with a straight key, and I'm sending CQ. And I'm nervous, and I keep, every time I send CQ, this is, get my call sign, I kept thinking, I hope nobody comes back to it. And sure enough, this guy out in California comes back. I was shaking so bad. I was so nervous, it's crazy.
He knew that.
But I was tapping the key, sending gibberish. I don't know, somehow or another, I was able to communicate that to him. It was a few weeks later, I got a letter and a QSL card from him, and he was telling me, keep it up. And he was super gracious. Cause it was a mess, but anyway, it's a lot of fun. Anything else, anybody? All right, thanks everybody for coming. Oh, happy Mother's Day to all the moms too out there. So. I could look it up, I think I probably got it.
Oh.
Are y'all? Harold had a stroke, and then got over that, lower power. Yeah, well, he got another one.
At least he knew what to do.
Yeah, we went to see this came over to with the doctor. 4 days he took out one time, and that was one thing. He never told us how he was doing.
How do they clear that?
Well, they put in one gastric tube and were doing suctioning, but we never heard if they were right, wrong, or anything. It was 4 days. Really? Oh, you know, they took an X-ray of his chest, an X-ray of the abdomen, and the over the abdomen, they found the body. Surgery. It was a lot better. Sort of hard because Anthony don't have a place to wife consider in it.
Got a couple. I don't think I can think of it. Good city.
they go any. Well, it usually is very good.
So far.
Should have been going on. I just want to be more active. We've got a bunch of kids in our neighborhood, and we just found out 6 of them live at the other end of the street. They're still gonna be there. I thought they have all the electronic panels on top of their house. And I thought that maybe they got flooded. But they said, no, all they needed was a new floor. Well, our garage, we got flooded twice. We had anything in plastic and paper, you know, cardboard. Can't pick it up because if the water seeped up so fast and then you would just dump out. So we called one of the garage door companies. They charged $600 and they took care of the top and both sides and the bottom. Now you look out in the garage on a sunny day and it's dark.
Thanks, sir.
But it was well worth it. The guy next to us got 4 to 6 inches in his. The guy next to him, his little cars got flooded. Yeah, it was real bad. And the river on the backside of us was coming up all over the grass. And well, we've got Stella. When you come across all the grass, then we have our Stella in the backyard right there. And we were hoping it wouldn't get wet. Lord, it did. We got 3 new kids and new parents next door. And so I didn't like the seller to get to it. You know, coming. Yeah, we have a big blue chest and I put in blankets, coffee, cookies, everything. So that we have it, then I go down about once a month, I'll put everything out. Got a national cellar. It always got water in it, but I call it my underground swimming pool. And if we have to go down there, fresh water. Yeah, well, that, like, 2 houses over, each ranch, when you opened up the tornado shelter, the water was able to flow in the garage. But we got a G&M tank for us, tornado cellar ourselves. And of course, they gotta make everything solid and right for carrying. And so with that, it's 90. Yeah. And it's that's all. We paid like about 2004 when everybody else was paying 5 for theirs. It's done really good. They're still doing taps out there. Boilers, they do. Tornado cellars, they do all kinds of. E&M? No, G&M. G&M for sale. G&M tank. They've been in business for years. Yeah, when you get off the highway, you go down by where Walmart is, you just keep going and dead ends right there in the G&M tank.
I'm back. Put them in my phone.
Yeah. Real good. I don't know what the G and M R for stand, but it just looks G and M tank. How are you doing, Larry?
Doing good yourself?
Hanging in there. Harold had a stroke one time. I caught him coming from the bathroom. I said, "What's happening?" He said, so I waited an hour, asked him again. I didn't get a better answer, so I took him upstairs. Well, he doesn't really feel this. I said, I'm a medical prescription. He doesn't have to have that. So they took a picture and he had it. They gave him a shot, kept him overnight. It's all over. Been doing transcription all the time. I got a lot of. Except for, now when he pulled me up with the hip, that one got me.
So I'm
Yeah, I did. That's where they're at, is in Purcell. Yeah, you go past a bunch of agriculture on the freeway going south. And then you get off by where Walmart is. Right down the highway, right down the road. And G and that tank. Yeah, they wanted to bring in the seller. So we could. When they come in the next day. Put the bottom in, put the top.